Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today about this important topic. I've been covering the U.S.-Mexico border as a reporter since 2019. I saw firsthand how secure the southern border was during President Trump's first term. I went on to be at the southern border for the next 4 years to document the deliberate and horrific open border policies implemented by the Biden-Harris administration. The numbers don't lie, the videos don't lie. What our country experienced was a deliberate invasion at the behest of the previous administration. Their efforts could not have been possible without the non-governmental organizations who provided the federal government the ability to flood our country with people who brazenly cross our borders illegally. The NGOs located along the border were often the first place processed migrants went to after being released by Border Patrol. These organizations helped the Biden-Harris administration avoid the bad optics of released migrants having to be on the street due to the large volume of overcrowding in certain sectors. Even with those efforts, the mass overcrowding still resulted in people sleeping on the streets, sometimes during the winter. Ultimately, the goal of these NGOs was to get people to their desired destination within the United States and get them settled in, even though their legal status was far from being secured. I would often see volunteers or staffers at the airport when I left the border guiding these processed migrants to ensure they made their flights. A few times, I saw them ushering unaccompanied minors. This is haunting to think back on now, knowing that Biden's HHS lost track of tens of thousands of minors once they reached their supposed final destination. By having this guaranteed help once they reached U.S. soil, illegal aliens had greater incentive to put their lives in danger by traversing through the Darien Gap and cartel-controlled territory in Mexico. One shelter in El Paso told me in 2023, around 80% of the women who had come to them had been raped, sometimes in front of their children. This highlights that despite the NGOs having the stated goal of helping these people, their help ends up harming the people who would go to use their services. Yes, they made it to the United States, but at what cost? Congress needs to ensure taxpayer dollars cannot be used to go towards enabling an invasion of our country ever again. It is a misuse of taxpayer dollars, and most importantly, it's a betrayal to the American people. Our tax money should be going towards Americans first and foremost. Instead, millions of dollars went to organizations such as Catholic Charities and International Rescue Committee. The reason why it's important to not let this happen again is because the 4-year-long border crisis facilitated by these NGOs is the reason why there are riots in sanctuary cities today. President Trump campaigned and won on carrying out mass deportations. And the American people want to undo the damage inflicted by the Biden-Harris administration. NGOs have even made an appearance at the recent unrest happening in Los Angeles County. A recent example of this is federal agents arresting 4 people for interfering with an operation by allegedly placing homemade spikes on the road with the intention to damage their tires. On their person was a bag branded with the logo of the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights Los Angeles. Congress needs to look into whether NGOs are supporting people directly or indirectly who are currently interfering with federal operations. I can tell you that while Americans are happy the border crisis is finally over, they want to see accountability, and I believe Congress can make that accountability happen should you decide to act. And since I have a little bit of time left, I want to say I'm here testifying today as a proud Latino, but most importantly, I'm here as an American citizen. This is my country, this is my home, this is where I grew up in. And that is why the rhetoric coming from one side of the aisle about these operations saying, no, we got to keep our cheap labor so that we can maintain our standard of living proves that they want to view Latinos simply as an underclass to siphon votes from and fearmonger from every time that there's an election. They are content with keeping us as that servant underclass, and that is why it is disgusting to see them criticize that recent raid in Ventura County where they found unaccompanied minors working alongside convicted sex offenders at a cannabis farm. No, we got to keep them there because or else how else are we going to get high if we can't have unaccompanied minors harvest our weed? It's quite frankly despicable. And the last thing I want to say is that the last time I appeared before this committee, we had one member say that Antifa is just an ideology, it's not a movement, by using an outdated quote from the FBI director. Well, coming back from Los Angeles, Seattle, and Portland just this past month with the recent riots, I can tell you that Antifa is very real, and the fact that they are also connected to that recent attempted ambush at that ICE facility in Texas. So I just wanted to reflect for the record that I was right then, and I'm right now, that Antifa is very real and they're very dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank all